So this is a really great question, and the answer is, if you mean they, Cuddle Comfort, this is a comment from my video about Cuddle Comfort, they can't really enforce people from taking it further once they're in the session, because they're meeting in a private space behind closed doors. Now, Cuddle Comfort does have terms and conditions about the sessions being platonic, and obviously if someone makes a report against you, they will ban that person for acting out of line, but oftentimes they do require proof, and not everything can be proved. Although I've had people banned just from telling them the horrible story, and they believed me because I'd been on there long enough, but that's not guaranteed. So it's really on us, the Cuddle therapists, to keep ourselves safe. So that's why I say don't start on Cuddle Comfort. Just go on Cuddlist, Cuddle Sanctuary, or another site that has some training prior to diving in, because if you don't do training, you will end up in an uncomfortable or unsafe situation, or get pressured or coerced into doing something you don't really want to be doing. So this is more of a video geared towards potential Cuddle therapists, but also can be very educational for clients, and possibly they can implement some of these things on their own, or know what to look out for when they're looking to hire a Cuddle therapist. So just like a water filter, I've got my client filter. I take multiple steps to weed through or filter through potentially dangerous clients, or clients who are here for the wrong reasons. So number one is marketing. So that includes things like my TikTok, Instagram, personal website, Cuddle Comfort, Cuddlist, anywhere I'm on the internet, for in a professional way. I am marketing myself to say this is a platonic therapeutic service. So, I dress pretty modestly. I describe the work I do in detail, and I make it very clear what this is and is not. And that usually is enough to deter clients looking for more. Funny story, one time I had someone from Cuddle Comfort do a consult with me. They did the deposit. We had a session for the next day, and then the morning of, they were like, I saw your TikToks and I realized that we're not a good fit, because I thought it would be a little more intimate than you show on TikTok. So that just shows how well my marketing works. So and follow for part 2, and I'll go through the rest of my filter. Welcome back for part 2 of how I filter my clients before agreeing to have a Cuddle session with them. So if you haven't, please go and watch part 1, where I talk about the marketing piece. That's super important. So part 2 of my filter is the code of conduct. Now, the code of conduct ties in both to my marketing and to the consultation calls, because I include the code of conduct in a lot of my marketing, and I confirm that the client has read and agreed to the code of conduct during the consultation call. And why this helps is because it very specifically states what is and is not okay, and leaves very little room for misinterpretation. A common mistake I see some Cuddle therapists make is they just say platonic only, and a lot of people don't really know what platonic means, or they don't really buy it. They think it's just a cover. So when you get this specific and into the nitty-gritty of it all, it's much more likely that people will understand you and believe you. Now, this is not 100% foolproof, but combined with all my other layers to my filters, it is very helpful. So the next layer to my filter is the consultation call. These calls give the client the opportunity to ask any questions they may have. It gives me a better idea of what their needs are, and it lets them know what to expect with me in a session. So I really try to be empathetic and non-judgmental in these calls, and just ask the client several questions so I can get a better idea of what they're really looking for. And this is really where I've had a lot of people kind of pass through these filters, but then we get on video and they're really honest with me, and it does turn out that they need a sex worker, or sometimes they really need a massage therapist or a regular talk therapist. But either way, I do not judge them. I do not yell at them. I just say, I cannot help you. We are not a good fit, but I really do hope you get the help you need somewhere else. So like and follow for part 3, where I will talk about deposits and getting the money up front, and also actually having to enforce the boundaries in a session. Welcome back to part 3 of how I filter my clients before agreeing to have a session with them. If you haven't, please go watch parts 1 and 2, where I discuss marketing, the code of conduct, and the consultation call. So for the last 2 parts of my filter, fourth layer is deposits and getting an upfront payment. So before I can establish trust with a new client, I always ask that for their first session, they do give me a 50% deposit, because in the past I've had a lot of people cancel really on short notice or just not show up. And obviously, as a business owner, that is costly, frustrating, wasting my time. You know, it takes time away from other clients I could have been helping. But also I find that respectful clients who respect the platonic boundaries also respect my other boundaries, and they understand why I need a deposit. So I find that this is a natural deterrent to potentially dangerous clients. And the other thing that I always do, whether it's a brand new client or a long time regular, is I always get the payment at the beginning of the session. Not only do I think this is a nicer flow to the session, so you can have a nice goodbye and not worry about money at the end, but I also think it helps with safety, because that way you don't have to worry about losing out on your fee if the client cannot follow the boundaries. So you're not gonna lose anything if you have to end the session early because they're out of order. And the last thing is you actually have to enforce the boundaries. And I know that's hard because we're all, well, not all of us, but most of us are taught to be people pleasers and avoid conflict and confrontation wherever they can. So in a session, if a client does something that I'm not comfortable with, depending on the severity, I might just correct them and say, hey, please stop doing that. I'm not comfortable with that. A lot of times they know they're not supposed to be doing that thing, or it was like an accident. But if it continues and I've asked them to stop a few times, then the session will have to end early. I might give them a chance to check in with them and see where their head's at, but usually if they're struggling that hard with the boundaries, they're just not in a good place to have a platonic cuddle session. And of course, if someone was really out of line, I would end the session immediately without any warnings or second chances, because at the end of the day, I have to feel safe and comfortable, or I'm not going to be able to help somebody. So like and follow for more cuddle content, and let me know in the comments if you want more safety tips.